Good morning, fourth grade. So today we are reading another nonfiction book, and this one is called A Bear's Life. And in A Bear's Life, it is another narrative nonfiction book like we read yesterday. This narrative nonfiction, it follows the bears of the Great Bear Rainforest as they eat, sleep, move, and play over the course of a year. So it's going to tell us about a bear's life within a year of where they live and what they do. I like a narrative nonfiction. Sometimes nonfictions are not my favorite to read, but when it's a narrative nonfiction, they make it really interesting when they tell that story. So let's find out about a bear's life. It's late winter in the Great Bear Rainforest. Most bears are asleep, but not all. Some have given birth to cubs who will see the forest for the first time when spring arrives. The forest has everything bears need to live a full, rich life, but it takes a long time for cubs to learn everything they need to know. Adult bears are perfectly at home in the rainforest. They know that in spring there will be fresh green shoots everywhere. More than 200 kinds of plants grow in the rainforest, and bears enjoy many of them. A big grizzly has no difficulty upending a log, and a mother grizzly won't think twice about defending her cubs. But if you leave grizzlies alone, they'll leave you alone too. They'd much rather curl up for a snooze. What makes bears dangerous to people, do you think? What makes them so dangerous? Yeah, I think when you bother them, you maybe scare them a little bit, and so then that's when they kind of get aggressive. It says cubs learn lessons from their mothers all the time, but sometimes all they want to do is play and let off steam, just like you. I think I could make a connection to this book as a mama bear, is that I don't want anybody messing with my cubs or my babies. And I think that I'm always having to teach my children things at the house. So right here, I can make a connection to these mama bears. For young grizzlies, the Great Bear Rainforest is a place full of wonder and surprise. They never know what they're going to see next. A deer, a wolf, an eagle, maybe all three. The rainforest is a place of wonder and surprise. Why do you think the writer described it this way for the cubs? Why do you think he says the rainforest is a place of wonder and surprise for the cubs? Yeah, I think that there's always something new happening. And when you're a kid, like everything's new. And so they're constantly learning all kinds of new places and all kinds of new ways to live. Young grizzly bears spend a full 3 years with their mothers before they strike out on their own. Black bear cubs spend a year and a half with their moms before going on. It says right here, grizzly bears and black bears are different. How are they different from each other? Well, right here we said that the grizzly bears spend 3 years with their moms, but black bears only stay with their moms for a year and a half. They don't get their babies very long. It says, instead of the author just saying that the cubs go out to live on their own. So instead of him just saying they go out to live on their own, I like how he says they're going solo. So it's not they're just going to live by themselves, but they're going solo. Goodbye. And he also used the words strike out before they strike out on their own. That is what a good writer does. He doesn't just repeat the same thing over. All bear cubs have to pay close attention to their mothers when they're young, because if they don't know how to survive as adults. Mother bears start teaching their young the day they leave their dens. They teach them where, when, and how to find food. They teach them what is dangerous and what is safe. In the fall, they teach them to fish. Every day brings a new set of lessons for the cubs to learn. Their lives depend on it. What do you think the cubs are learning to do? I think the cubs are just learning how to live life, like how to survive, how to hunt, how to find food. Do you think that the cubs have to learn a lot from their moms? Yeah, I think so, just like you do. But the difference is you have 18 years for your mom to teach you something. After male grizzlies leave their mothers, they live their whole lives alone. Females will continue to have cubs, but once the males have mated, they have nothing to do with their young. They aren't social animals like people. They prefer to be by themselves. So the grizzlies are not very social. The males prefer to live all by themselves. The Great Bear Rainforest's long, jagged coastline has many rivers and streams. Bears get some of their food from these streams, especially in the fall when the salmon returns. So it isn't unusual to see a bear popping out of a pool soaking wet. The beach can be a banquet for bears. What do you think it means it can be a banquet for bears? Yeah, like a super big place to just have all kinds of food. You just have to know how to get your paws on what's there. Have you ever tried eating a barnacle? Bet you haven't. But bears are so strong they can pry them off rocks as easily as we bite corn off the cob. Then they eat them like popcorn. So maybe I wasn't sure what a barnacle might be, but if I look at those words, he says they pry it off of the rock. So that right there tells me that a barnacle is something that probably grows on a rock. One of the most amazing sights in the Great Bear Rainforest is the spirit bear, which is a black bear born with white or cream-colored fur. The Great Rainforest is the only place in the world where spirit bears live. Says no one knows how many bears there are in the rainforest, but there could be thousands, and some of them are black. A black bear can have a white cub. Some other bears have both black and white cubs. In the whole Great Bear Rainforest, there are thought to be only about 400 white bears. Some people believe that every 10th black bear is born white. No one knows why spirit bears are white, but some scientists believe it makes them better fishers. Salmon will notice a black bear against a gray sky and move quickly to get away from it. But a white bear against the same sky might appear invisible to the fish. So the spirit bear is a much better fisherman. India's people say that Raven, the creator of the rainforest, flew among all the black bears and returned every 10th one white. This was done as a reminder of the last ice age, which ended about 12,000 years ago. After turning the bears white, Raven promised they would be the best fishers on the coast and that they would live in peace and harmony in a forever green rainforest. It says here, what do you think indigenous means? We know it's a type of people. But indigenous means like the original people that live there. So like the people of the rainforest. Most people think bears are meat eaters. But except when they catch fish in the fall, they are mainly vegetarian. Bears love berries, and in the summer, the Great Bear Rainforest is full of them. Salmon berries, devil's club berries, elderberries, twin berries, huckleberries, blueberries, thimbleberries, saleberries, gooseberries, and saskatoons. Never heard of a saskatoon. So, so we would think that they're a meat eater, but they're really more of a vegetarian throughout most of the year. Fall is salmon season, when 5 different kinds of salmon return to the rainforest streams and rivers to mate, lay eggs, and die. That is, if they manage to avoid the jaws, teeth, and bellies of thousands of hungry bears. All bears are expert fishers, but each bear has his or her own special style. Some plunge their heads into the water and grab the fish with their jaws. What do you think plunge might mean? Yeah, I think it means they dip their head down in the water. Others sit on the river's edge and scoop the fish like ice cream. Some pin the salmon against the rocks with their long claws. and others jump on top of them and crush them between their elbows and their stomach. So all the bears fish a different way, kind of like we do. Bears eat masses of salmon because they want to fatten themselves for the long winter sleep ahead. A sleeping bear can consume up to 4,000 calories a day. That's like eating 10 fish burgers. Bears' stomachs are so full and heavy when fishing season is over that they drag on the ground like sacks of grain. Can you visualize that right there? Can you visualize a bear's belly just hanging to the ground and dragging because he's so full of fish? In fact, bears get so big they can no longer lie flat to sleep. Instead, they have to dig holes in the ground to fit their huge stomachs. When winter comes again, bears build their dens high up in the mountains where it snows all winter long. And for a while, it will look as if the Great Bear Rainforest is empty of bears. But now you know better. You know they are just having a long nap. Why do you think the author chose this illustration at the very end? All of the other pictures were like all the pictures of them interacting and them roaming and playing. Why do you think the author chose to put this just very still picture? Yeah, because I think it's because he said, you know, they're just taking a nap. And this is just showing everything like to be real calm and not a lot of activity going on. All right, so this book, let's talk about the message of this book. So we've talked about, like, why does authors write stories? What does he want me to learn from this? And I think in this book, he wanted me to learn that there is a good home for bears of all kinds and that bears lead fascinating lives. I think he wanted us to learn that animals learn to adapt to their environments. Think about those bears and how they live and sleep and eat and survive. They've adapted to the mountains and where they live so that they can survive. So I hope you enjoyed that book, and let's get over to our lesson.